Hello, Libertarians. It's so nice to see you again. Four years ago in Columbus, I stood in front of the Libertarian National Convention and I said that it had been too long that we had been stagnant, that we had plateaued as a party, that the Liberty Movement was growing and the Libertarian Party was not, and that it was time for a change. And in 2014, I asked you to elect me to be the least important person in the Libertarian Party. And I was honored when you put faith in someone who had never been on the Libertarian National Committee. Sure, I had been a state chair and a state vice chair. Sure, I had recruited an entire ballot full of candidates with the help of Joe Johnson in Colorado. Sure, we had passed Amendment 64 in Colorado, the first recreational law in the United States to legalize cannabis. Sure, I had been to every national convention since the year 2000, but I had never been on the national committee. And a lot of people in this room did not vote for me then because I didn't have the experience. And in 2016 in Orlando, a lot of those same people saw the incredible growth that we had from 2014 to 2016, where we had 50 state ballot access for the first time in 16 years. We had professional fundraising, we had growth across all areas, and we nominated the most successful presidential ticket in Libertarian Party history. And I asked you then to re-elect me to be the least important person in the Libertarian Party so that I could work to empower you to go out and be those most important people in the Libertarian Party. And in the last 2 years, we've had more fundraising growth. This convention is now double the size of the 2014 convention, both for packages sold and money raised, and I think you all deserve a round of applause. If you look at the graph for the last 4 years, the trend is up at all levels, and I want to continue that success. And with your trust, I ask you to re-elect me to be the least important person in the Libertarian Party. Thank you.
The chair position is unpaid. How will you fund your personal travels and accommodations to fulfill the expectations of a national party leader?
All right. Gosh, how will I be able to travel around and be the chair of the National Committee? I'm probably going to do it pretty much the same way that I've done it for the last 4 years. I make the time and I take the time to go around the country wherever I'm needed, to speak at rallies, to speak at state conventions, to attend every national committee meeting, to attend every national convention. I have a comfortable life. We have a small business. I'm working a full-time job. My wife Valerie and our 4 kids are back there. It's worked for us for 4 years now, and it'll probably continue to work for the next 2. So when it comes to knowing what the job entails and how hard it can be and whether or not I know how to do it, I can assure you it won't be a problem.
How would you, as chair, deal with a libertarian candidate who you feel harms the party or the cause of liberty?
So the answer to that is you talk to the candidate. If the candidate's doing something that isn't right, you talk to them. You try to put out a message that differentiates. We did this when we had a candidate running for president who said things about a no-fly list and firearms rights that didn't align with the Libertarian Party platform. But what we didn't do was we didn't call them out publicly. We didn't renounce the ticket. The National Party put out a statement clarifying our position on gun rights. When a candidate says something that's off message or off platform, if you draw attention to it, you damage the party. And as chair, the party is paramount.
What efforts would you prioritize to get the LP ready for the 2020 campaign?
All right. So what efforts I am prioritizing to get the LP ready for the 2020 campaign?
Yes.
For the 2020 campaign is the efforts that we're doing in the 2018 campaign. The reason to recruit 2,000 candidates nationwide, and by the way, I will fail, we'll probably only have a few over 1,000, is to set the stage for the best presidential nominating convention we've ever had in Austin 2020. I know that there are people in this room who are not happy with the likely nominees for the 2020 presidential nomination. The way to fix that is not to try and twist the arm of Drew Carey or Penn Jillette or whoever your pipe dream is. The way to fix that is to build this party into such a political force through fundraising and doing well in elections that better people want to run for our nomination.
What work would you do to convince elected officials of other parties to switch to our party, assuming that they're aligned with our statement of principles?
So, over the last 4 years, we have had more elected officials switch to become libertarian and leave their old parties behind than ever before in national party history. So while the other gentlemen on the stage can either talk about how it's not important or talk about how they would do it, I'm going to tell you how we do it. We sit down and we have the conversations with people who are not happy in their old parties. When we have to fly to Washington, D.C. to be deposed by the FEC, we take a trip over to Capitol Hill to meet with a congressman from Michigan. When we go to a state convention and the state chair says, I have a state representative who's really unhappy with their old party, we take the time to go and sit down with them and talk to them about the Libertarian Party. We reach out and we ask. That's how we bring people in at all levels, whether they're switching or we're recruiting or we're fundraising.
Is the danger of a takeover of the LP by left or right-wing collectivists real or imagined? How do you address the concern?
So I've been around in this party for nearly 20 years, and people have been afraid of a takeover for almost that entire time. And they've been spending more time worried about the communists or the alt-rightists or the Republicans or the Democrats who are under the bed than in building the party into something that would be worth taking over. And I stopped worrying about who's trying to get in, and I started inviting people in, because the fear of a takeover comes from a fundamental misconception that some people in this party have that I don't share, which is the idea that the Libertarian Party's values and our platform are too weak to suffer contact with people that don't agree with us on everything. And I think we, as libertarians and libertarianism, are more powerful than any ideology that might come in that door.
How should the LP most effectively exploit the current disillusionment with the political status quo?
Okay, so when I talk to major donors who have come over from either the Republican or Democratic parties or were not affiliated before, the biggest reason they come over is not because they're hardcore libertarians, believe it or not. The reason they come over is that they neither trust the Republicans nor the Democrats to live up to the principles that they professed to espouse long, long ago. They can't believe them anymore. They're liars. Being bold with our principles and how we are neither left nor right, but we are free. Free on all issues all the time. Always up, never down. Always for the individual liberty and never for government control. And they believe us. They know that we are authentic, and that's why fundraising has gone up. That's why people are switching parties. That's why we have more candidates running. That's what's making us successful.
The question is, what do the terms purism and pragmatism mean to you and to the Libertarian Party?
All right. There's been, and some of you may have heard this before, a long argument between purists and pragmatists in the party. On this stage, you see the argument between people on the left and people on the right in this party. These are not important distinctions. There is one distinction that's very important in the Libertarian Party, and that's between being a nice person and being a jerk. And I don't care if you're a purist or a pragmatist, if you're left or right. I can teach a nice person about libertarianism, but a jerk's a jerk's a jerk. So what we need to see more of in this party is more people being kind to one another and working on what they love, and fewer people tearing others down.
Does the internal culture of the party need to change? If so, what is the role of the chair in changing it?
The internal culture of the Libertarian Party doesn't need to change. I've seen libertarians offer up their houses, their funds, their food to help people attend this convention who couldn't afford it. I've seen people cross all of these ideological aisles that people say exist in this party, because libertarians are not just a political party, we are family and we love each other. And I take exception at the idea that the LNC culture needs to change, because I have had the honor to serve with 2 terms of the LNC with some of the most devoted people to building this party and working together and working forward even when we disagree that I've seen in watching 20 years worth of LNCs. The way the chair does it is the chair shows an example. You lead by example. Libertarians follow. You cannot push them.
Should Tim Moen and his Libertarians form a government in Canada, should the decision as to joining the Canadian Federation be left to the states?
Yeah, man.
So, should Tim manage to form a government in Canada, 1, I'd be kicking myself, because why the hell did we let the Canadians get out in front of us? But I'll also say what I said when I spoke at the Libertarian Party of Washington convention in Vancouver. Joshua wasn't there, but Tim Moen was. And I said that if Tim Moen ever moves south of the border and naturalizes, I'm immediately going to run him for LNC chair, because he's taller, he's more attractive, and he's a goddamn hero.
Pretty good answer. But I see Joshua threw out his rebuttal card. Go ahead.
I did.
Am I not good looking? What are you going to rebut here?
What's that? One more time, Tim. What'd you say?
No, you got 30 seconds.
Oh,
go ahead and rebut.
I didn't live in Washington at the time, Nick. Thank you very much. But I just went to 17 state conventions across the country, and I saw you at 3. I appreciate it.
So each candidate will have 2 questions. They're going to ask them one at a time, do the first round of questions, and then we'll go to the next question and do another round. Each candidate has 1 question to ask another candidate.
What do you think about Bill Weld? Yeah, Nick, what do you think about Bill Weld?
I get 1 minute?
1 minute to answer.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
What I think about Bill Weld is that he is still in the Libertarian Party when many of his opponents were not. That he goes around the country raising money for and endorsing Libertarian candidates. That he fundraises for us. And that the exposure of Bill Weld to the Libertarian Party has not made the Libertarian Party more like an establishment Republican, but it's made Bill Weld a lot more like a Libertarian. The other thing I think about Bill Weld is that he knows something about winning public office, and that we should be willing to learn how to do that from anybody who will help us, anybody who will join us, and we should not push people out who are willing to help because of our ideology.
Carry on, Nick. Carry on.
And I'm going to ask Joshua.
Oh, hold on, we have a rebuttal card played.
Yeah, well, I played it.
Oh, you played it, sorry.
People come to this party at one convention to get one thing, one nomination, and they leave. And this is Joshua's first convention. And we'll see what he does after this one convention.
Was it a question or not?
Nope.
Okay.
My question is for Joshua. You have said that you have a plan for making fundraising $4 million. You've said that you have a plan for viral marketing. You have a plan to bring our party to a new level. And this is not a job that you can learn while you're doing it. So I'm going to ask, what experience do you have in raising money, electing candidates, building parties, chairing meetings, or any of the relevant tasks that this job requires?
Oh, you got the music.
Go ahead, Joshua.
Oh, I appreciate the question, Nick. I don't have the relevant experience. I've talked about that actually over the last 8 months. That's fine. But I've been able to build a team, coalitions with the crypto community, people that are in this room like Nexus Earth, Jim Cantrell from Vector Space Systems. I've been able to start building a policy team so we can artfully craft a libertarian message that the population can digest. I've been able to travel to 17 states. I went to Oklahoma on 15 minutes notice, and I was able to chair their state convention. It's not always about experience, Nick. It's about vision. It's about ideas. It's about coalition building. It's about a blueprint for success. And I've already started doing these things, and I know they will be successful. Thank you.
All right, we had a rebuttal card thrown by Nick, so 30 seconds on the clock for Nick.
I've heard a lot about coalitions and outreach and teams, but I've heard nothing about your county party. How many members does it have and how many did it used to have? Your campaign for public office, why did you stop and who did you recruit to replace you? Your state party, what fundraising you've done for anything other than your own race for chair.
My question is to the esteemed chair. And I would preface this by saying, Mr. Sarwark, I have the utmost respect for you, I truly do. But my question to you, is there anything, say, at the 2016 National Convention, or in your second term as chair, that you would do differently, given the opportunity?
Anything at the...
Over to you, Nick. 1 minute.
There's a lot of things that I would do differently. I would have tried to bring on candidate support and recruitment staff earlier. We started too late, and that's why we're going to hit 1,000 candidates instead of 2,000. I would have tried to build up, have a full-time press secretary earlier. Part of the thing that is tough about being chair of the LNC is that you're not really in charge. You are really the least important person in the party. And so you can go exactly as fast as you, the delegates, and the other members of the LNC want to go. And so in the first term, we added an affiliate support specialist. In the second term, we added a press secretary, 2 development people, 2 candidate support and recruitment people, and we started having growth. But the idea that we could go faster than that, I don't think it's possible. I think we have to, let me take another 30 seconds. We have to work with what people can do. We've never failed a ballot access drive in the entire time that I've been chair, but we've walked away from a couple because there are some state parties that weren't ready to go along with us. We've recruited candidates, and some of them have been great, and some of them haven't. We've supported candidates, and some of them have been great, and some of them haven't. I have made mistakes as chair, and I will make more mistakes if you elect me again. Because the only way to not make mistakes is to not do anything. But I won't make the same mistakes.
Okay.
All right, we have a rebuttal there from Christopher. Go ahead, 30 seconds.
Mr. Chair, that was a good answer, but frankly, it wasn't the one I was hoping for. To be perfectly frank, I have almost no issue with anything that you have done as chair. I have a couple of issues with things you haven't done. I think there have been a couple of opportunities where a chair with an even hand could have made a statement rebutting a statement from, say, a rogue vice chair that cost the party dearly in terms of support.
Christopher, why is it that the first time anyone in this room heard about you running for chair, or the first time that we've seen you around the Libertarian Party in the last year or so, after loudly leaving, is tonight?
This is a fair question. A year ago, I was working very diligently to try and court a very large donor. I was wondering if I was going to share this story out loud, and I guess I am. That donor was absolutely appalled at the messaging coming from the national office when it came to a Facebook meme. We decided on, during the Christian Holy Week, to share a meme from the Church of Satan. Now, it's not about what that meme said, it's about the symbolism involved here. And I can tell you right now, that turned off somebody who would have put hundreds of thousands of dollars into a race. And you know what? I was a little upset about it because I was really hoping that perhaps the chair would say, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done this. And instead, he chose to really belittle those who made an issue with it. That's why. And in fact, might as well.
Okay, go ahead.
As we continue here.
Yeah, carry on, Christopher.
Once again, the reason I made the decision to come to this convention was actually, I've got to give credit to Larry Sharp. I saw an interview that Larry gave to Reason Television talking about his gubernatorial run, and one thing he mentioned very specifically was that the Libertarian Party, as flawed as it is our best chance to elect leaders outside of the two-party system.
Thank you. Nicholas. I've heard you recently start saying that you've made a lot of mistakes. I appreciate that. I think humility is important. What I want to know is, are you sorry for those mistakes? To our members.
Go ahead, Nick.
I wanted to be chair of this party because I have 4 children in the back of this room and a beautiful wife who I want to grow up in a world that's more free than the one I grew up in. I've taken away thousands of dollars and countless hours from my family and from my work in order to lead this party. And so everything that I have done that has been less than as good as it could be to build up this party is something I'm sorry for. Every missed opportunity is something I'm sorry for. Every time that I have not been good enough for you and I've let you down, it's something I'm sorry for. All I can do is my best. And if you elect me chair again, I will continue to do my best. And if that's not good enough, then you should elect someone else. When I started as chair in 2014, I was already at my 8th national convention. I've been in this party for a long time and watched a lot of things not get done well, get done okay. Some things were successful, but there was stagnation. Over the last 4 years, we've had more elected officials switch to the Libertarian Party than ever before. We've added more full-time national staff than we've had going back to that 18-year mark where Joshua thinks that I was chair back then. We've started to get back to the success and the optimism that we had at the turn of the century, where we saw a libertarian world that was in front of us. We're seeing candidates around the country raising tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, where candidates in those races historically have raised hundreds, if not maybe thousands of dollars. There is more excitement about the Libertarian Party and our candidates than ever before. We have turned a corner and we are rising to the next level. And the way we are doing that is we are focusing not on personalities, not on fighting with other libertarians, not on arguments over ideology, but going out and doing the work to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, to get ballot access in all 50 states, to put candidates on the ballot so a voter doesn't have to go into the booth and have a wasted vote. A wasted vote is a vote where you have a person who wants to vote Libertarian and there is no Libertarian on their ballot. No more will we have those wasted votes. No more will we have people not have a Libertarian option. And so I ask you to waste no more time arguing about what a good Libertarian should be, but to go out there and be one. Be one in your community, be one in your state party, be one for your candidates who are running for office. Help each other, work with each other. I would be honored to be your chair again if you will have me. Thank you so much.
Ask a Libertarian Facebook fan page is spreading awareness of libertarianism and informing non-libertarians while empowering those who support liberty on a daily basis. This is your opportunity to be empowered, and let us advocate libertarianism for you at facebook.com/askalibertarian.